far comes from actual numbers. This isn't surveys, this isn't forecasting, this is what happened in Q2. And it'll give you a nice little perspective. And please interrupt as we're moving along if you have specific questions. Let's see. That would be great. Okay. So we're reading a lot of gloom and doom these days about mobile media, with Disney going down, a lot of bad news out there, but the reality is a little bit different. We're at $5 billion in revenue in Q2 2007 in the United States. That's on the far right, that $5 billion in revenue. Now that's not all ringtones. How does that break out? Can you guys actually see that slide, or is it just a bunch of colors and squiggly lines? It's pretty, yes. Pretty is good. The bulk of that is the light blue down there. That's text messaging. The yellow, 1/4 of that $5 billion in Q2 is mobile internet. People subscribing to the $10 data pack in order to check their Yahoo Mail, etc. The red is what's very interesting to your marketing departments, because that's the download piece. That's downloading the ringtone, that's downloading the wallpaper, that's downloading the game, etc. The little tiny squiggly at the top, silver, that used to be non-existent, and that's video. So it's comprising a bit of this. It's still very nascent, but it's growing very quickly. Thank you. I love this slide. If you look at the far right, that box that you can't read, this is your sort of your strategy story. What's your addressable market? The biggest number that I'm very happy about, SMS, and very relevant to our discussion today, 70% penetration in Q2 2007 in the United States. 70% have texted in the last 30 days. That's a huge addressable market. If people internally are saying, I don't know, is this something that's going to work for us? Tell them, Telefia says 70% market penetration of SMS. Even more interesting, in my mind, is MMS. 41%. 41%. That means that maybe you send a message, click to video, and they can explore your artist in greater detail. They can pass it along. 41% of people are now using MMS in the last 30 days in the United States.
The 70%, is that 70% obviously of cell phone subscribers?
70% of the 237 million US subscribers. That's what this bar is all about. That's the number of US subscribers in the United States. 237 million are paying for a mobile service. Among them, 70% of those are using text to some extent. Questions? Ted?
Are there any numbers of how many people don't know they have text messaging until they get their first text message? There's people that have texted over the last years that go, where did this come from? I didn't know this existed.
The awareness issue was enormous for all multimedia applications. An amazing number of people, a majority of people didn't know they could get on the internet from their handset. Texting is another one of those awareness issues. We've seen those numbers come way, way down. And we do some of those sort of qualitative surveys about awareness. We've seen a real big transition from a lack of awareness about 3 or 4 quarters ago to a much lower number. A lot of that is because of the iPhone, a lot of that. I don't have an exact number for you, but I myself have been surprised at the, whereas there was a majority of people who weren't aware of any of the things they can do, now there's a majority of people who are completely aware of what's possible. Other questions? Comments? Anything? No? Yeah, let's go to the next. Well, let's stick with, can you stay on that one? I'm sorry. One point I'd like to take note of is the internet penetration. Of those 237 million US subscribers, 77 million are paying for mobile internet access. 77 million. It's quite a lot. What's very, very interesting though, the number of people who actually use the mobile internet on a regular basis, 31 million. So 60% of people are walking into their AT&T Singular store, they're getting this mandatory $10 data pack, and they're not even using their mobile internet. But that's an opportunity for everyone in this room. If you make a unique website for some of your artists, it's available. It's just a question of conditioning your user to change their behavior. Any of this sound controversial, exciting, boring? Anything? Any comments? What you see of these numbers so far? Surprising?
Do you know a breakdown of the 70%, like who they are? Do you go further into that?
Into the SMS?
Yes.
The focus of these 12 slides today are audio, but SMS is it's a whole other universe, and I have many, many slides. But obviously it trends younger, it skews younger. But for the purpose of this discussion, I've only brought audio-centric slides. Please. No, that's it. So what I'd like to point out here is we mentioned there was $5 billion in revenue in mobile media, and that's mostly SMS, internet, et cetera. 17% of that $5 billion in Q2 were specific downloads, the wallpapers, the ringtones, the games. And here's some interesting points. Audio, growing. Everyone tells you the ringtone is stable or flat. It ain't true. It's growing. It grew by about $33 million from Q1 to Q2. A lot of that has come from full track downloads, and we'll do a breakout of why that's growing, but it's still growing, and it's still healthy. And it represents 30% of all of those download revenues, which was about $900 million in Q2. Games are slightly growing. I would call them a mature, stable space. What's really growing are applications, and within applications, it's the navigational tools. It's the nav tech, it's the help me find XYZ. And then PSMS, premium SMS, is actually declining. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Are a lot of you doing PSMS campaigns, stuff with PSMS? Avoid trouble. The reason that number's coming down is there were some cowboys out there making a mess for everybody. Next one, please. Okay. And so you can see, I just want to point out audio is absolutely growing. And if anyone tells you otherwise, it's not true. And a lot of that has come from full track downloads. Once, particularly Sprint, transitioned to a more rational pricing model, we saw a large uptake from about 2% to 8% of revenues in full track downloads. What else? Oh, okay, this is really good. Penetration. About 1 in 8 of those mobile subscribers, those 237 million US mobile subscribers, about 1 in 8 of them have a ringtone. Purchased it in the last quarter. So does that jive with no? You're shaking your head.
No, I'm actually surprised that I would think actually there would be more penetration of that than internet.
Not in this room. Not in this room. In this room, it's a higher penetration, I'm
No,
sure.
I know. I'm just saying more like looking at the number, I was surprised actually that it was not more, personally. I don't know.
Anyone else surprised? Those 237 million, most of them don't have a network that's capable of downloading or even really enjoying the music. Believe it or not, that's good, that 1 in 8, because in about the last 4 or 5 quarters, it's about a 25% increase. Let's go to the next one.
You mentioned the rational pricing around the Sprint Music Store. How sensitive do you think, how price conscious are local consumers in that regard?
We saw about a 3x increase in full track download purchases when the price was reduced on Sprint from $2.50 to 99 cents.
Doesn't that also have to be they're pushing marketing to make that, now that they have this offer, they're trying to push that as opposed to any of the higher price items like games?
That's all, I mean, what do you think?
I think it's a lot of they're shifting focus, they're slowly shifting. We always see bringbacks had a lot of upside when Verizon was putting.
But we had full track downloads from Verizon and Sprint for several quarters, and no one cared. And then suddenly the price was reduced from $2.50 to 99 cents. And all of a sudden, it's now 8% of audio revenue.
Yeah, but that also comes with a higher price point on the data side.
Sure, all of the above, but the consumer sees $2.50 or 99 cents, and being the capitalist I am, I think that was enough to persuade people to try it, to see what's the value prop for me.
There have been similar trends with other products like games, for instance.
Gains have not drastically reduced prices, but I would argue that at $5.50 or $6 a game, there was perceived consumer value, unlike in the audio space where there was such a huge differential between this platform and other platforms. I don't know. Games have continued to grow slowly. The average price of a game is $6. We've seen very little transition to ad-supported in games. And so people are willing. We didn't see the penetration. It was on a previous slide. The penetration of games is actually only about 8%. So it's lower than audio.